Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimSig. We're continuing with this. If you watched the last video, which will be somewhere, maybe description, I don't know. You know what's going on, and we've already got calls. Dean Crossing now clear, and Shunty Young wanting 5 to return to call back because I need to uncollar CUCO97 signal so I can go through because Dean's now clear. Yeah, Shunty Young wants the train to come through, so get that ready for it to come through once he calls back, which will be in probably a minute or so. Yeah, you haven't missed much. It's just a case of 2 Oscar 01s now coming into 3, and momentarily once it passes Wilton Junction, 1 Lima 16 in the Wilton Junction. That's waiting for 5 Lima 02, which is up there, which I need to quickly put in. And then they'll join together. 5 Romeo 22, that goes ages away from now. 1 Lima 14's up that way, and those trains are now all pulling that way, so not much still, but still. Oh, and that's now waiting at an EC signal for, I'm assuming, the train before, because it's probably caught up to it, because an ECS is very fast, especially if it's just a single light engine. Yeah, just wait on Young to call us back now. He'll probably call us back in a few. Oh, is that him? Yes, it is. Permission granted, 5 Lima 02. Now, where does 5 Lima 02 go in that? 217 onto 4. Okay, so we get that route straight away to go down to 217. And there we go, 2 Oscar 01s now off that loop, which means we can signal this section ready for 1 Lima 16 once it comes out of the Wilton section, because it's probably off by Dinton right now. And 5 Lima 02 is now in the area after coming out of the DNRS depot. Yeah, Salisbury is an interesting place, so I've been there many times. You've got the cathedral, you've got High Street, brilliant market on High Street on Tuesdays and Saturdays. But apart from that, there really isn't much, and we'll let that run early because I don't mind it running an hour early if it's come through early. So that's a wait for 5 minutes because it's got to wait on 2 Echo 16 to arrive. And then 1 Lima 16, I assume that wants to go into, yeah, it does want to go into 2, so we'll signal 2 ready as well. Yeah, there really isn't much. I mean, if you talk about the station, it is old, dilapidated, but still has some really nice structure. Plus, it's where you can get on the Stonehenge tour and that. Yeah, the city just seems old, dingy, and horrible kind of now, to be honest. It doesn't help that it's been through so much from the COVID pandemic to Salisbury poisonings. And God, when was it? Like 2018, 2017, something like that? I don't even remember. All I remember is that it was like before COVID. Yeah, it's just completely screwed up the city. Loads of people left because loads of people were fearful that they could be poisoned from Salisbury poisonings. So I remember that very distinctly. I was even scared of going to Salisbury for a bit because I don't want to get poisoned. Because, of course, Novichok is impossible to detect unless you get the exact spot where it is. Yeah, it was very scary time, especially for the people that were living in Salisbury, because they didn't really know what to do themselves to protect themselves. I mean, loads of businesses went. There used to be a really nice butcher's by the river where one of the main poisonings was. That went during the poisonings. The only things that I distinctly remember that I have stayed is the Hole in the Barrett, the Greg's, because nothing like a good Greg's in it, bruv. Greg's. And what was it? The Works. Those are the only things that I've noticed have actually like stayed in the city, but those are already big businesses which have like multiple locations across the UK, so of course they are going to stay. So, yeah, anyways, continuing on, we've got 1E16 coming out of the Winton area, and those two are going to join in a moment. And that, once it stops, it will just continue straight on up to Waterloo, because it's coming from... Where did it come from? I don't even remember where it came from. It came from Yeovil Junction. Yeah, those two join, and then it becomes 1E03 off to Gillingham. So, because I know that's going to be joining, once it's finished joining, we'll just set that and we'll delete that. Because I know already, because I've got a good enough memory to remember that there's a train joining in there, just not good enough to remember where they're all going and all that. But yeah, we'll get it. Wait, when does it even go? 6:08, and when do you go? 6:04. Okay, so you're first. And then we'll just get you straight off up to Warminster once you're finished boarding. Yeah, it is. It is an interesting place. It's got a nice history. I mean, sure, it's not electrified, so all you hear around the station is just loud diesel thumps and noises, mainly from 158 Sprinter units and 159 Super Sprinters, but also from the occasional 166 that GWR run, and even the 150 nowadays. Yeah, one of the services that used to run through here, though, which has unfortunately sadly been stopped, I think, time of recording yesterday, I think, if not, it was like 2 days before, was the Brighton to Great Malvern service, which was GWR now no longer served to Brighton, which used to be a very interesting route because it used to be direct, because you pretty much go through loads of stops and just go across that line. And it was just lovely, you know, you could just sit back, chill, relax, and just enjoy the journey all the way through down to Brighton. Yeah, now that's no longer the case, and today, on the day of recording, which probably will either be the day after or the same day that this video goes out, is the final day of the thumpers on, or the old door issues on 1E16, no signal not be replaced, from Southern, which are the old 455s, because they're going today, which is also very sad, so they're on a farewell tour. Plus, South Western Railway are getting rid of theirs because the 701 Arterios are all coming in. I mean, they're pretty close to me. They're currently like a whole bunch are stored in Eastleigh Works, while the rest are all stored across the country. Like 4 of them coming out a day to run test trains, but now they're actually coming into passenger service, which is surprising for South Western Railway with how long they've taken, because they were meant to come in before COVID. They got delayed during COVID. And then they're like, yes, we're bringing in 442s as well for the Portsmouth Direct Line. The 442s break all the signals because they're old, and they spent, what, bloody, like 40, 50 million to refurbish them, only for them to be recently sent to the scrap yards without even really getting a chance to run with their brand new refurbishments, because they'll be going, because the Wessex Electrics are just useless now. They have no uses because nobody wants them. They're old units, they're very expensive to maintain, and South Western Railway just spent 40 million on refurbishing them all, and they just gone and scrapped them all. Which is, yet again, another pointless decision from SWR, because South Western Railway are terrible at everything. Only thing that I do agree with, though, is them trying to revise some of the original beaching cuts, which is the Waterside branch line, because they want to bring back in services down the Waterside branch line, which used to be where 66s would take trains of oil and crude down to the Folly refinery with, until it was like 1950s, 1960s. It was a case of beaching cut that line completely for freight only. Only station on the line that remains is Marchwood, and that's just for trains that are going into the MOD plant for them to get the token for the line, as well as the track cleaners and MPVs that are based at Totten currently. But apart from that, the line is just completely dead. There's nothing running on it at all. But South Western Railway want to reverse that cut and actually get services running on it again, which is very good, because it will restore a very old line, which I do think would get occasional passenger use. Only issue is the amount that it would cost, because it would have to say as diesel because it hasn't been electrified, because you legally can't put down third rail on the lines anymore. So it would either be a case they had to get overhead wires trains, get a bi-mode train, or just do the cheaper option, which is just reuse the 158s, because they always have like a few units spare, obviously, in case of issues with trains to run services. Plus, it's a case of they'd have to rebuild multiple stations, such as Hive Holt, and apparently the one probably further down, which would be for Forley, but they can't run through the refinery because the refinery won't let them run through for obvious security reasons, because you don't really want passenger trains going through your largest petrochemical refinery in the UK, which is a very big issue for them because, well, they're American security risks and all that. You kind of don't want people just wandering through and having that gate constantly open into a refinery, because that could cause big issues, which you do not want at a refinery, to say the least. So it's, and this first even got proposed because they want to build a massive housing area down where the old Forley Power Station used to be, which is where they're demolishing, and they used to film Star Wars movies and that. And I believe they filmed an episode of Red Dwarf in there, I think. I'm not sure on that, but I do believe I remember distinctly there was one episode of Red Dwarf that was filmed inside the control room at the power station. But yeah, now that's all been blown up. I can hear the explosions usually about once every 6 months when they blow something up there. Because of how loud it is. Biggest one, of course, being the Forley Power Station chimney, which is taller than the Spillica Tower, because Spillica Tower is shite. But yeah, it's a case of now where it's all coming down, and they've getting that built, and they want a train line to connect it. You'd have to get a bus service, which has already been heavily reduced because the 8s that used to go all the way through to Calshot, that only goes to Hythe now because budget cuts and lack of drivers. Oh, I'm on the 160 on the phone. Okay, well. Plus the 9, that's less frequent now. That's like once every half hour to 40 minutes now. And they're just going all over the place, so it's very infrequent. In case you'd be waiting ages to go from somewhere to then get onto a train, which would probably be about half hourly to hourly, just like one direction. Oh, Christ, ignore that. Which means that in a case you'd be waiting ages either way, which would be extremely unprofitable, where you could just get the bus. Yeah, it does seem kind of pointless, but still at the same time I do like the idea of it, because it does still reverse the beaching cuts and screw beaching, because nobody likes Scott beaching and its beaching cuts. But then again, nobody likes the current Transport Minister Grant Shapps, but we move. Yeah. Nothing we can do, really. But continuing on then with government and all that, I mean, it is nice now, though, that Southampton and Shirley seat, I think it is, the councils for here now Labour, and it's no longer Conservative, because I'm definitely a Labour supporter. I've been a Labour supporter since, I think it's the 2016 general election, when I first figured out what elections were. Yeah, I've always supported Labour, their ideas. Corbyn, I didn't mind him, even with all the scandals and that. I thought he was, someone who could help this country. Keir Starmer, I don't like him as much as Corbyn, but still, if he can get the job done, I don't mind him. And sure, he's in a controversy right now of having a beer and a curry at, what was it, like Durham or something, at the Parliament office. And it came under work, but they were on about penalising him because of it. But yeah. It's a case of the Tories, they've had their time, they've broken the rules, they've shown they're very incompetent. They want to cut public service jobs, taxes are rising under them, they're doing nothing to stop it. They're doing nothing to support the migrants coming in from Ukraine fleeing war, because they're just making this scheme to get migrants into the country easier, just harder and harder and harder for them. Plus, it's a case of now they're sending people who migrate from the UK to Rwanda, which is a case of where you come to the UK and you just get sent to Africa instead because the UK doesn't want to deal with you. They can't be bothered because they don't want you coming in from Calais or France on your little migrant boats, apparently to stop illegal migrant boats coming in. Yet it doesn't stop the illegal migrant boats, and it's still the case that you got to be paying more for them to be processed in Rwanda, which completely goes against the entire point of the entire thing. Plus, it does kind of seem against people's basic human rights. You're forcefully displacing them. Yeah, it does come off as a bit of an issue, to be honest, with the country. It shouldn't be something that's happening, really. Like, we shouldn't be displacing people who've come to this country for a better life to somewhere which is nowhere near here, and they're just being displaced heavily to be processed and again to be sent somewhere else. And it's just separating families and just killing off people's livelihoods and that. It's just not good, and it's just very unprofitable as well in the retrospect. Like, they're doing this in effort to also make a profit out of processing them, and it isn't going to make a profit, because if you think how many migrants come in a day or a week, it's 200, 300 or average. I mean, that rises and falls. I mean, a few weeks ago, I think we had 1,000 come in a week, and it's a case of, because they're fleeing that much, and it's a case of the British are just trying to stop and stop and stop, because sure, it is becoming an issue with the amount that are trying to cross, but we do need to support them. Just sending them all away with the amount that come in week per week, it's just not a good idea. It's just not going to be profitable. It's just going to make the UK struggle even more, which is, an issue which, in my opinion, you do not want. But I guess that's what the UK wants, and we can't control what the government do, because the government don't listen to any of us. Especially about conversion therapy, because they apparently also want to ban trans conversion therapy, according to a petition that was sent to the government, that they want to reduce trans conversion therapy to be more supportive for them, when it's their body and their choice. It's effectively the same as the American abortion case, where they're trying to repeal the law against abortion, where it's a case of you can get an abortion. They want that to be no more, but they're Americans. I don't really expect much else from them. They're just no offense to any Americans who end up watching it. It's just a case of the perspective from the UK on Americans. It's a case of, you're big, you're loud, you don't listen about gun control or anything like that. You think guns solve everything, and that guns aren't the issue when people die of terrorist attacks and gun-fueled rage and that, when it's clearly a case of that is the reason why they are dying. But, I can't stop you all from buying a gun and shooting up something. I'm on the other side of the sea. I'm across the pond, as they say. Yeah. I mean, I do like some Americans that are like nice and polite and that. But, like, it's a case of, it's their body, it's their choice. Like, if they've been a victim of like sexual assault and something like that, you don't want to be told, no, you can't get an abortion if you've been impregnated by someone who's sexually assaulted you or R-worded you. Because it's a case of, we want to protect that child until, they're born, in which case they just won't care about it, from my perspective. In this case, they only care about it when they're old enough to be signed up to the army or something like that, where they can make actual profitable jobs. That's the only time that they'll end up caring about them, and that's a technical fault. 635, no signal will not be replaced. Yeah, it is horrible from my perspective what is going on, Like, it just should not be happening. It's the same with the UK with the conversion therapy. It's a case of, it's your body, you know what you want to do, but you can feel whatever you want to feel. I mean, personally, I still even don't know what I want to feel. I just don't know. All I know is that I'm empty inside, and I'm always in extreme and agonizing pain. It's a case of, if you want to do something with your body, and you know that there may be regrets down the line, at the end of the day, it's your choice, and it's whatever the hell you want to do. Like, some conversion therapy I can understand, like trying to turn a gay person straight, that is wrong, because you love whoever you can love. I mean, for example, I'm a bisexual, and it's a case of I love men and women, and maybe others. I still don't know. I'm not big on relationships. I've never have been. It's a case of like, you know what you like, and if you know what you like, there should be nobody to tell you that you can't like a certain thing. Like, for example, you want a PS5, and somebody's like, no, you don't want a PS5, you want an Xbox, so we'll get you an Xbox instead, and we'll make you love Xboxes instead. Who cares if you want a PS5 anymore? We'll make you love Xboxes. It's like that, in my opinion. I know it's a terrible analogy, but still, it makes sense in my brain. Right. Anyways, we'll call it short for today because I do need to rest my back, to be honest. It does hurt a lot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy today and have a lovely day. Thank you.